Hey, it's James Mulvaney here. Today I'm going to be looking at this microphone, which is the brand new Samson Q9U, relatively new to the market. Going to be checking out the features. It offers XLR recording as well as USB-C. I've got one right in front of me here. We're going to be checking out how that sounds. And you're also probably wondering, because it has got a very similar form factor, how does it compare to this, which is the Shure SM7B. This microphone, obviously industry heavyweight, been around for years, so I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Q9U and the SM7B as well. Stay tuned for a review and also a comparison. All of that is coming right up. So let's first of all see how the microphone sounds. We're going to be doing some sound tests here in the office. We're also going to be testing it in our Soundproof booth and also in a kitchen environment as well, so you can get an idea of how it sounds in various different environments. Firstly though, this is a dynamic microphone, meaning it's meant to be really good for close-up voice work and also reject any kind of background noise. So what you're hearing right now is me talking into the microphone, completely unedited. We've not added any kind of compression or anything like that, so you can kind of get an idea for its raw sound. As you can see, I'm speaking into it about sort of 6 inches away. I've got it mounted on a boom arm, which I'd recommend. Again, you want to try and be quite close up with these kind of microphones. You'll notice if I go back here, for example, you probably can't hear me as well. You know, likewise, if I'm in front of the microphone, you won't be able to hear me as well. The best place to be is right here. And that's the good thing about dynamic microphones, particularly if you're in a room like this, which isn't perfectly sound treated. You know, you haven't got sound insulation on your walls. You've maybe got exterior noise coming in, road traffic, or in our case, trams going past every 5 minutes because we're here in Manchester city centre. Dynamic microphones are really, really good for that kind of environment where you're not in an ideally treated sound studio. And let's be honest, for most podcasters and a lot of home broadcasters, you're not always going to have the luxury of being in a soundproof studio. So as I mentioned, this is the sound going via the USB-C. As you see, I've connected directly to a MacBook Pro. We've not tweaked any settings. This is just the raw recording using USB-C. These mics are great, actually. Dual purpose USB-C and XLR, because it makes them highly portable. It means you can bring them around with you. Perhaps you're doing an on-location recording, or perhaps you want something that you can put in your kit bag and take out onto site. Really, really powerful and really, really handy to have XLR capabilities built into these. However, if you have maybe a multiple mic setup and you're thinking about investing in maybe more than one of these because you're building a podcasting studio, you'll probably want to record via XLR using an audio interface. So let's check out what that sounds like too. All right, so now we have switched to XLR, so I wanted to see if there's any sound difference. Can you tell any difference between USB and XLR? We're recording directly again into the laptop via the Focusrite Scarlett interface. This is what it sounds like when you're recording via XLR. Do you think it sounds better or worse than USB, or does it sound the same? I always think when they come out these dual mode microphones, really you should get identical sound whether you're recording via an interface or via USB. However, during the process of converting audio from an analog signal to digital signal, you have something called an AD converter. There's one in here and there's also be one in here. The one in here is most likely a little bit better quality than the one actually built into this microphone. So what I found with a lot of these mics which have got this dual output interface is that if you actually record via an interface like this, it sounds better than using the built-in interface within the microphone. But you be the judge, let me know in the comments below. Now we're going to put it through its paces. We're going to be testing it out in our Soundproof studio and also in the kitchen as well, just so you can get an idea of how it sounds in different environments. So now I'm in the kitchen, as you can see, which is less than the ideal environment you really want to be recording in, but I know there are lots of podcasts that are recorded in people's kitchens. So now I'm going to ask Jack to go make a coffee behind me. Jack, make a coffee, please. So I wanted to see the difference between if you've got background noise, how effective it is at filtering out. As you can hear, our freshly ground coffee is being ground as we speak. The machine makes quite a bit of noise, but I want to know if you can still hear me clearly. Or does it pick up on the background noise? You can hear the coffee being poured as we speak, the finest of coffee, of course. What kind of coffee are you making? Just regular coffee. Anyway, so there we go, a bit of fun, but I wanted to see how this microphone fared up in a kind of less than ideal recording environment. Okay, now we're recording in our soundproof booth. This is really the ideal environment because you're getting no interference from external sound, and we've got also a lot of treatment on the walls to stop any kind of echo. So this is very neutral sound. This is kind of if you're in an ideal recording environment, perhaps you're building a radio studio or a podcast studio and you want to set up with multiple microphones. How do you think this sounds? Do you think it sounds good? Is it sound broadcast quality as they advertise? Let me know in the comments below. I want to do one final comparison because I know you've all been wanting to know, how does this compare to the Shure SM7B? So let's switch to a Shure SM7B now. We're recording via XLR here into an interface onto the computer. So let's compare it with the Shure SM7B. Okay, so now we're recording into the Scarlett 2i2 via the Shure SM7B. This is what the SM7B sounds like in comparison to the Q9U. But which do you think sounds better? Let me know in the comments below. Does the Q9U live up to the SM7B? There's quite a big difference in the price tag, obviously, but very, very similar in form factor. Okay, so there we have the Samson Q9U, their brand new dynamic microphone designed for broadcast, podcasters, gamers, etc. Let me know in the comments if you're thinking about buying one of these microphones. I'd be curious to know what you think of the tests that I've done today. Do you think it sounds better with XLR? Do you think it sounds better with USB? And also, how does it stack up when you compare it to the Shure SM7B? Because they've obviously designed the form factor to look very, very similar to this ever-present microphone. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. More videos like this coming soon. In fact, throughout November and December, we're just focusing purely on equipment reviews. So remember to subscribe for updates, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye for now. What makes the difference between a successful radio station and a failed project? Well, after working with tens of thousands of broadcasters over the past 15 years and helping lots of people start their own radio stations, I see the same mistakes being made time and time again. So what I've done is I've put together a guide called the 5-Step Radio Startup Checklist, which really covers everything from concepting your radio station to marketing it. And this guide, I believe, will make the difference between you having a successful venture with longevity and creating something that doesn't quite hit the mark. Go and grab your copy now for free at jamesm.com/radio. Just enter your name and your email address and I'll send it over to you straight away. You're going to find it really useful. There's tons of information there which will help you with concepting and launching your brand and bringing it to market.